All right, we kick off our baseball segment here with a little bit of breaking news. This is why you need to follow DK Nation on Twitter. The Mets have designated Robinson Cano for assignment. So the top team in the National League saying, see ya, we don't need ya. They're going to be on the hook, though, for almost $40 million remaining on his contract. So now we have a question about this. We'll ask to our MLB panel. DraftKings contributor Matt Meiselman, what's up, dude? RotoWire's Erik Halterman. Is this the end of the line for Cano, Erik?
Probably not. I guess he gets one more chance here. It's been 12 games, 12 pretty ugly games for a 39-year-old who's coming off a PED suspension. So I doubt he gets a long second look. But given how good he was in 2020, well, maybe we know why he was that good. But he hit 316, slugged 544. Given his long resume, he gets at least one more chance. I don't think teams completely give up after 12 bad games.
Okay. How do you feel about it, Matt?
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same page. I guess if we take out 2020, like if we think that that's the outlier, now Cano over his last 3 years or so doesn't look very good. But at the same time, Albert Pujols still has a job. And there are a lot of veterans who just, based on their experience and their reputation as being historic great players, because Cano is one of those, that'll be enough to at least get him signed somewhere. It's just, he just doesn't have much left in the tank at this point in his career, but I think someone still picks him up too.
Yeah, 43 plate appearances since he's returned from his PED suspension, 1 home run, 3 RBI. Hardly the stat line of a player taking home nearly $40 million. Let's cover the bases now. Let's get a DFS and Sportsbook look at today's slate. First base here, favorite DFS player to pay out for, Matt?
So I'm going to pick a player who only has 2 hits this season, but he's really good. I promise he's really good. And that's Ronald Acuna Jr., who's missed a lot of games this year. It was a little tricky thing I did there. But yeah. I like the Braves in general against Chris Bassett, in large part because I think Bassett ends up being the slate's highest owned pitcher. I think the Mets have gotten a lot of deserved hype this year for just how good they've been across the board, but especially their pitching staff. And this game has one of the lowest totals, but at the same time, the Braves offense is really, really good yet, and we just haven't seen that come to fruition in large part because Acuna's missed most of the games this year. So I like him, but I also like the full stack because with Matt Olson there, this is a really, really high-powered offense, and despite the bad circumstances, they can score a ton of runs in any matchup, but you're also getting leverage here because I do think the field will very heavily gravitate towards Bassett. So for tournament purposes, I think this might be my favorite stack tonight overall for the Braves.
Erik, who are you paying up for on DraftKings tonight?
Yeah, I'll go with another outfielder in a similar price range who hasn't done all that much this season, although he's been healthy, and that's Jesse Winker at 5,200, hitting just 197 on the season with 0 homers. So maybe that'll keep his ownership rates down. But I think there are a decent number of reasons to like him, despite the fact that that poor performance is coming along with a poor barrel rate as well, which has dropped to 4.6%. So he needs to hit better going forward, but I think he can. I mean, he's a guy who wasn't just good the last couple of years. He was an elite hitter, 945 OPS over the last 2 seasons. And this season, he's still seeing the ball very well, walking 18.1% of the time against just a 12.8% strikeout rate. That tells me he's not that far from turning things around. He also has 5 hits in his last 2 games, so I guess you could say he's already turned things around. He'll get the platoon advantage here against Jake Odorizzi, who doesn't look like he really belongs in an MLB rotation anymore. 6 ERA through 4 starts, striking out just 13% of opposing batters while walking 11.6%. So I think this is a game where Winker continues down the right path and starts looking like the Winker we've come to know these last couple seasons.
All right, well, at second base, I need your favorite DFS value play, Erik.
Let's stick in the outfield and go with Max Kepler for 3,400. He's off to a great start this season with a 164 WRC plus, hitting 257. He's got 5 homers already, and that comes with a career best barrel rate of 14%, walking nearly as often as he's striking out this season, a 13.3% walk rate against a 15.7% strikeout rate. He'll get the platoon advantage here against Tyler Wells, who I was interested in this season just to see what he would do in the transition from the bullpen to the rotation. Doesn't seem like he's doing all that much, though. 5.54 ERA on the season, not getting many whiffs, just a 17.5% strikeout rate. So I like Kepler to continue his hot start here.
Who do you like, Matty?
I'll stick with the same game, but I'm actually going to go with a pitcher here. Although I feel like it's worth mentioning the Orioles as value plays, and that's kind of why I like this spot. So The Orioles just, apologies to all the Boston fans in the house, but the Orioles just had a nice offensive day. I'll just leave it at that on Sunday against the Red Sox. And the Orioles are really cheap, but the pitcher going against them, Chris Paddock, is only $7,200. And there are a lot of cheap hitters tonight. I think this will be a night where people spend up, and getting a cheap value play type pitcher in Paddock for only $7,200, I think it allows you to afford expensive stacks that otherwise people might not want to pay up for. So it is potentially leverage against a chalky Orioles offense, it's an offense that's playing well, but Mancini and Mountcastle in particular are priced below $3,000. I think they'll be popular picks. So I'll go to the other side and take the cheaper pitcher.
All right, Meiselman, at the hot corner, favorite run line or money line bet? Talking baseball tonight on the DraftKings Sportsbook.
So Erik has scared me a bit here because it's Jake Odorizzi and the Astros, and I don't like Jake Odorizzi. I'm not a Jake Odorizzi truther by any means, but I think the situation sets up well for the Astros as decent-sized favorites around minus 130, 135, because Mitch Haniger is hurt, and I think Jose Altuve is returning to the lineup today. So I just don't know if that's priced in yet. Altuve's been on a rehab assignment, but by all accounts, it seems like today's the day he finally makes it back. And the Astros' offensive struggles, I think it's had a lot to do with the fact that Altuve's not there. So I think this is a team that, despite having the lesser pitcher on the mound for this game, is so far ahead offensively with the depth of the lineup when it's healthy. Maybe you want to wait to make sure Altuve is confirmed first, but I think he plays, and I think the Astros should be larger favorites.
Erik, favorite run line or money line bet?
Yeah, my favorite here is slightly less of my favorite than it was last night, but the Marlins are now minus 160 against the Diamondbacks. They were minus 150 last night, I think, and minus 155 earlier today. So it seems like a lot of people have the same opinion here. Arizona just can't hit this season. They have a 75 WRC plus as a team. They're hitting 181, 273, 328. That WRC plus matches Nick Ahmed's career mark for reference there. The Marlins, on the other side, have a 111 WRC plus. That's good for 7th in the league, or the same as, say, Chris Taylor's career mark, to get a sense of the difference between those two lineups. So it's a clear advantage for the Miami side there, and I think they have the advantage on the mound as well, although it's not as large. Pablo Lopez versus Zach Gallen, both pitchers who have been quite good this season. But Gallen was coming off a shaky year last year, whereas Lopez was excellent before he got hurt. And I think Lopez has arguably been even better this season, a 27.1% strikeout rate against just a 4.7% walk rate. I like Lopez a little bit more, but it's really the difference between those two lineups. Arizona just can't hit this season. So I think even at minus 160, I like Miami.